Live from Hollywood, the quarterfinals of Dancing with the Stars, season 33. We are back after a week off. The show took a week off. We were off a week again. And we're back to talk about the quarterfinals, the final 6 couples here as we narrowed down to our final 5, inching one step closer to the finale that is 2 weeks away for its the show's 500th episode celebration. We'll talk about it all. Of course, I'm Matt here with Sasha. Sasha, how's it going?
So good. What a great night. I feel like I'm just positive. That's how I feel. I'm ready to discuss. Whoever snatched Carrie Ann up deserves a raise because listen, we're together. We made it. Great episode.
Well, our guest today might have a great view of a Freaky Friday situation happening, because I think I might have taken all the negativity and I'll store it in my analysis here tonight. But we are joined by the great Ali Lasher. Ali, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's, as we discussed before we got on, late on the East Coast. I'm in my comfies. I feel like I'm at a suburban pajama party ready to talk about the latest Dancing with the Stars, which is very like how I've previously consumed this prior to the launch of this great podcast. So I'm thrilled to be blue skidooing into your podcast, as Matt would say. Oh my God, Samantha, no, I am blessed. And I have a lot of takes. I have a lot of opinions. I feel things about what happened tonight. I'm not ready to join team positive or team negative. So I'm very excited to hear you guys sort of state your cases and see where we're at after this episode.
I will say, just to jump into, I don't want to make it sound like I'm going to be negative the whole time. I know that's what I made it sound like. But I just felt like the theme could have been explored so much more. It's the 500th episode,
that I'm with you.
And that was my thing. By the end of the episode, I'm like, okay, so where was like anybody else? Like Lindsay was there and Sharna was there, which was kind of crazy, but like I would have expected a lot more pros. Obviously, I wasn't super expecting like Tom Bergeron or any of his co-hosts from over the years to really be there. I feel like there could have been a little bit more of a Len tribute. So that's kind of where I'm coming out with the negativity. But the dancing was obviously a pretty good night. But then also we had the weird second round for each couple that everybody was looking at each other funny. Like, why are we doing this? So I think maybe confused is more of a correct way to put this than negative. Ali, have you been enjoying the season though before we even get into the rest of what happened tonight?
I have. I mean, I feel like I am happy that there is no like runaway dance professional. It does kind of feel like a bit of a return to like the actual intended format of Dancing with the Stars. Not that I'm like a huge hater of like people with dance experience. I think there's a difference in terms of dance experience from like a Charlie D'Amelio to a Chandler. I know people are like, Chandler's a dancer, and she is, but it just feels different. It feels more like at our roots. I feel like the stars are really hungry to be here and really enjoying being there. I didn't expect like Danny Amendola to like still be here thriving, like loving this experience, like that's what's fun and campy about Dancing with the Stars. So I think it is delivering. It's not maybe like my favorite season right now, but I am enjoying it.
Okay, glad to hear it. I think we have been as well. Sasha, did you have a response to my criticism of the theme of the night?
Yeah, no, on that, TBH, I forgot that it was the 500th episode.
That's what I'm saying.
Useless. A theme, and chat is also saying, right, like, I wish we had more alumni. We got, right, Francesca even talks about, a lot of pros were in the audience. What I'm going to do with them in the audience? Okay, just cute. Okay, my Nancy Pelosi clap for them in the audience. No, that's cute, but like, whatever. I think that we started really well, right? Beyonce, hello. We opened it with the number that opened Dancing with the Stars. And then they just said, all right, that was it. We're good to go. I would love to hear from y'all what, and the chat, like what y'all think a good tribute tribute episode would have been. Because for me, it would have been almost like, not, maybe because y'all are here that it's fresh on my mind, but like an eras, right? Where it should have been like, you picked the best dance from the first, whatever, do the math. I'm not doing math.
Yeah, no, I get it.
On the 6, divide that by 6 people. Because the fact that there's not one Cheryl dance, you must be joking.
Well,
like, don't piss me off.
I think, Ali, do you have like more context of the tea of like some of the drama that's gone down over the years with a Cheryl or a Sharna?
So I thought I heard somewhere that Cheryl was invited and declined to come. And I think almost like it's a one-way feud with Cheryl where like Cheryl like lives off of like being the thorn and Dancing with the Stars side, and I don't think they feel impacted by her. Like that's just investment. With Sharna, I think Sharna was asked to come back when her son or her child was like 8 weeks old, and she declined and then never got invited back. And I think she felt a type of way about, sort of getting cut after her maternity season, I guess it would be. I was happy to see her back in the ballroom. I think like Dancing with the Stars doesn't necessarily carry grudges with these people as much as the reverse. Justice for Anna Trebunskia, who was seen in the audience, and I was talking to the great and I was like, Anna, and he was like, Delvey or Trebunskia. I was like, fair. But I agree with Sasha, like, what good were these pros doing in the audience? In terms of a tribute, I wish, I almost don't mind what they did, which is to say they did nothing. Like, they showed a clip of the dance and it was the same song. There was no real replication of the actual dance. And I'm sort of fine with that because I think so much of these dances are built from like what the stars can do. And it would almost be like unfair, especially when like the male star has a dance that had the male pro and vice versa, right? Like those, I don't want to see these people like stumble. And I think some of them may have in a dance that's not cut out for them. That said, I think the pomp and circumstance around these tributes should have been more. You're telling me you can't pick dances where the pro can come and introduce it like Julianne did or the star, but I am much more interested in the pros, honestly. Could we have had what everyone did with Mark Ballas? I thought that was great that he comes and like has a little moment coaching them. Like I thought more than just Sharna could have been dancing. Like I did think originally Gleb was Tony Devolante and Devolante, whatever. And I was like so excited that this like all of these pros were going to come out and it was just Sharna. So I think if we don't make the dances more of a tribute, we should have at least had some excitement around, which was definitely missing.
100%. That's what I'm saying. It's just like the excitement of the 500th episode. It even felt like in the days leading up to it, I'm like waiting for more social media presence of like more stars showing up, or more former pros. And it was like, well, Sharna might be there. And that was it. And who else did we see in the audience? Lindsay Arnold was in the audience, who of course, I think she was just on last season. She was one of the dances that was being referenced tonight. She's obviously there for Riley as well. She's been commenting on the season on TikTok and wherever else she's doing that. And I feel Allison Hoker, I think, was also there, who again had a dance that was tributed to in one of these dances tonight. But it just feels like there's so many pros that have been on this show, and not all of them have a Cheryl Burke type of relationship with the show to this day. Somebody had pointed out in the comment, I saw the same thing, that Cheryl, I think, declined it because she was also saying that she wants to get her podcast out as soon as there we go, from Cindelin, saying she wanted to get her podcast.
That's why we're not there. We also need to get this out
because she needs to like take notes and go record and whatnot and go from there. Because
boo. Look, get out of here.
Podcast seems relatively successful. But
don't you think more people are going to show up to Cheryl's podcast if she was on the show? And again, there's drama and I get it, but I still think that to me, Cheryl and Emmett Smith's like dance or that whole journey is like what in my mind, it's like my first Dancing with the Stars, like, moment. So it's really unfortunate. And Michael says something really interesting in the chat where he said, if they had the former pros give advice to each of the couples for their second dance, like Mark did, and then have them be a guest judge, I'll take it a step further. What if the former pros were judged for their own dance? That would have been so fun to watch because seeing Derek, right, say to Chandler that was better.
Right.
That's huge to hear from a pro. So I think there just needed to be a little bit more integration of these like pros that we've all fallen in love with. And that's like Ali, you were saying, that's why we watch the show. And Muhammad, you're so real for this. Carrie Ann and Abba and Bruno not doing the opening number or anything Nolan tribute, I'm confusion.
I feel like they were trying to advertise that the first dance, the opening dance that was choreographed by, I think, Daniela and Pasha, was supposed to be that tribute. I think that's how they were advertising it. At least that's what I was getting on social media before we came into it. But I didn't really get that vibe. It was just kind of like mentioning and acknowledging him, when everybody comes in and they mention Bruno and Carrie Ann have never missed an episode. And then, hey, Derek's here too, 6-time champion. Leave it to his sister to hype him up as much as she possibly can. And then when they're talking about like who else was there. So Sharna was there in the dance, and Derek and me, Julianne. So just stumbling our way through that, but it was cute. It was great to have the a lot of people are kind of sick of the Huffs like being the show these days. I'm not really in that camp. I like that they're still so involved and that they can be a face of the show on this side of things. I mean, Julianne certainly has had her moments throughout the season. We have flagged up many of them have been kind of awkward, but overall, I think I'm satisfied with them being here. And then I don't know, any other faces pop up, Ali, that you were surprised to see or anything?
I more have complaints of like pros I would have liked to see, like especially couples. Like, where's like Robert Herjavec and Kim? Where's Max and Peta? Like with their like bouncing babies? Like where who else I would say? Mark. I was complaining about Mark, and then he did show up at least in the package, so like I can't really complain there. And he was already on this season. Ton of stars, like ton of celebs that I think they did a good job of like highlighting them more than they did like the random pros in the audience. Like they had the table of like winners and, ice dancing athletes. But the other thing too is like if they wanted to take the approach of like it's our 500th episode, like Jeff Probst, but it's only our 500th episode, and they didn't want to make it the whole theme, and they just wanted to do that opening tribute dance to acknowledge it and then move on, I'd also probably would have been fine with that. I think my complaining is coming from the fact that they've like set the stage as like that's the theme, and they didn't deliver.
Yeah.
Even if just like can the pros dance, like seeing Sharna, like look at her, she still got it. Like one choreographed pro dance with like Carrie Ann and Bruno in the middle, like going like this, doing a little wiggle, a little hip action, wouldn't have hurt anyone.
I mean, look, it made me feel kind of optimistic that we could see Sharna again as a pro. If she's willing to come back for this, I feel like there's a world where you could see Mark come back as a pro, even though it feels like he's kind of past that point. Like
Mark is
graduated. I think he's done. I mean, he just won.
Really, he was just there.
No, I just mean like I would like him to do something like more.
That's like I think we all would love that if he had like a permanent spot on the show doing something. But it's like, what else? Like we'd be creating a spot for him. Is he going to be the permanent coach? Is he the permanent fourth judge? People would be fine with that.
That coaching again. I know we're gonna get to it, but shout out Mark. I'll just say that for now.
He knows what he's talking about.
So good at like what he does, and you can just feel it. Again, I was always a Mark Ballas stan, but this season has like pushed me over the edge of like being like a stan for him. So shout out to him. It's just so good. Also, I will say, what are y'all's, or do you have like a favorite or memorable performance? Because the ones that they picked, I was like, that's interesting. Like these are not the ones I would have picked.
Somebody in the chat had it earlier for my pick. It would be Drew and Cheryl Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy, just because that's my like that's what I think of when I think of like the first time I was aware that I was watching really fun stuff on Dancing with the Stars. That's that'll stick with me forever.
Yep.
Oh,
awakening for many. I mean, I think like what's great about Dancing with the Stars is like the campy BS, like them, like I was talking to Brandon about this, is like watching the iPad of the dance and having like Dwight Howard be like, the dance I'm dying to do.
I know.
Is like this, like clearly, right, they're assigned based on like what dances they haven't done yet and like need them to do. I would say it wasn't even my favorite Charlie and Mark dance that Charlie and Mark have done for them to have picked. I think like Bethany and Derek's Singing in the Rain is one that comes to mind.
Yes.
I don't know, like much like where Daniela, and I will talk about it with Daniela and Dwight doing Sharna's dance, where she was blindfolded. Like they didn't do the blindfold. Can't wait to discuss that with you. I don't know if like the Singing in the Rain dance could really be done, because same with like the Simpsons dance that Charlie and Mark did. And I know they weren't scored super high on that because it was an early in the season, but like maybe there are dances that are just like kind of so iconic and relevant to like the theme that they were doing that they couldn't like plop them here to just like, do the song and figure it out. I don't know. A more recent example, I think Daniela and Amon Shumpert's Arabian Nights parrot dance to me. I love that. Could have been done like Disney Part 2.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. But I just wanted to quickly say that yes, I didn't even put together the theme piece, and maybe that, like, as in the songs I liked were on theme too much. So thanks for
I think Derek, I think it was Derek that was saying this, that just it's tough when you're doing the comparison, because the whole point of paying tribute is that they're going to be compared to the original. Obviously the pros, the pros and the stars were doing as much of a comparison as they could. Anybody who remembers the dances without even having to rewatch it, like I had to rewatch it, remembers the dances and are going to sit there directly comparing the two. Carrie Ann and Bruno were there for a lot of these, and Carrie Ann talks about, I remember the first time I saw this one. So it's tough when you're comparing, and to do one of those that's like the top tier, the top tier of Dancing with the Stars, memorable dances. A lot of these performances that they pay tribute to are performances that got a 29 or a 30. So it was, highly respected dances, but to do the top tier might have been just setting Dwight or Steven or Ilona or anybody up for failure, Danny, so I'm glad they didn't go that high. But I think we covered that pretty well.
Wait, what were Sasha's dances?
Yeah.
We didn't return the
sorry.
It's fine. I'm just kidding. I have spent all week like looking back, so I did do a little bit of research. But I think Alfonso and Witney's, right, the jazz with the Carlton is like a cute, iconic. It's like a new iconic moment. And then Niall DeMarco and Amber Riley as well. I feel like they don't get enough. Like, it's Amber Riley does, sorry, but I don't know that Niall gets a lot of like spotlight. But anything they did, amazing. But I want to say, and this is silly, but Nelly doing the freestyle to Savage and Notorious has to be like, especially with the custom shoes and that like being a whole point that whole season. I don't know. I have a special spot for Nelly, and I just thought that was so cute and silly. And he did get 10s for that dance, but just seeing again how good Daniela is, it's unfair.
I know
how she's able to just kill it. So that's why I really liked it. And so those were like my top few, but the chat is also, I've been pulling them up as we talk, but y'all are all killing it with how good they were. And Alfonso's and Danielle and Witney, sorry, Paso Doble, right, where it was two of them, Witney and whoever else doing the dance with Alfonso. Oh my god, amazing. So just loved all of it. But you brought up Terrence, and I want to bring that up too, that you're right, that maybe if it is too iconic, it's hard.
Yes.
And Muhammad was saying, right, the opposite. What if we took the worst dances?
I was just gonna say, where's the Master P and Ashley recreation? Like, come on. Let's see it happen. And a lot of you talk about Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy. I want to say that's been done 2 or 3 times since then. I think that it's been paid tribute to. I don't know if it was for a 100, 200, 300, 400th episode celebration, but I'm pretty sure a lot of them have been recreated. So they probably tried to pull from ones that hadn't been to this point. But that's that. Other thing to point out that was going on throughout this episode. I don't know if everybody in the chat or everybody here was able to keep up with it, because it just made you not be able to breathe for the entire last hour. The TikTok live that was going on as well throughout all of this, they had advertised this starting yesterday that Ezra and Emma were going to go live on TikTok and show you all the behind the scenes, talking to people and just watching the couple rehearse in between commercial breaks, which was very cool to see. I had to give it up after the first couple of it, because I was like, I can't even look at my notes. Too much going on. But it was cool to have that as a bonus aspect. I even saw Mike Bloom tweeting about how it was the most perfect side content to an actively airing television show that you could ever dream up. So.
It's great for us, and it sucks for Cheryl and us who have podcasted.
The 4 of us had a tough time.
Yes.
It's good to see the show adapt to what the pros and the stars have really created this season. I mean, I feel like the lead up to this season of Dancing with the Stars was a season in itself, occurring on TikTok, of everyone being with their pros and sort of showing their TikTok dancing ability. We've seen as you guys have discussed, TikTok dances, or not TikTok dances, Dancing with the Star moves become viral, like Operation Archer or whatever was like becoming viral on TikTok. So it's cool to see the show like officially make that part of it their content. And yeah, if we were consuming this like normal people and not taking notes in advance of a podcast, that might have been more enjoyable.
Yeah. Look, when it comes to the TikTokification of Dancing with the Stars, this is not the first season that they've dipped into it, but they really did with going to Apple and what's the name of the song that they did last, Ilona and Alan? That's all over TikTok right now. So, this isn't the first season they've done this, but they're really keeping it going as it makes sense. And then before we get into like exactly
also like the dip, I'm sorry, I just had to confirm, originally released 1997. So like not to give Gen Z credit for the dip, but okay, yeah, fair enough. It is everywhere on TikTok.
Yeah, there's that's a common way that TikTok gets there.
What's old is new again.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. Because when they said the dip, I was like, it can't be, right? It can't be the song I'm thinking it is. So I went on YouTube and I was like, it is.
I just didn't know the name of the song. I've just heard the TikToks lately, and so when they start dancing, and I'm like, that one, like that is so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm old enough to where they played it at like school dances, but. It's so funny because I know none of these songs like their titles. So I'm always like, I don't know the song. Dang it, another song I don't know. And then it's literally a really famous song that has some obscure name. So I don't know. I just thought salsa to the dip is wild behavior.
That was
no one's gonna be recreating that on episode 1000.
Yeah,
you're gonna end up in the hospital if you're gonna try to recreate it. Stop it, y'all. Do not do it.
All right, before we get into the actual discussion of each dances, Ali, what did you think of the concept of the instant dance and the execution, and again the bewilderment of every single person that had to respond to? So what'd you think about this challenge tonight?
Yeah, so here's the thing. It felt like a little bit, I liked it because they had 2 weeks. So like what became immediately apparent was that they're not coming up with this dance in 5 seconds. They're not picking a costume. It's labeled jive. And then someone needs to tell Avanza that like, oh, she seemed to know exactly what she wanted to wear. So like, I don't mind this when they have a week to do their like normal dance and a week to learn 4 versions of probably what would have been the same steps, like jive-ified or salsa-ified or whatever. The real challenge seemed to be you're going to have to learn 4 quick routines and put them to a random song that you'll have 5 minutes to hear the song. So I didn't love like the chaos and the pop and circumstance of like how hard this is when like then we see a package of them kind of like workshopping 4 dances. I also don't know that like the payoff was really there because we kind of saw all but one bumbly kind of fumbly dance. And then like somehow Chandler and Brandon are able to do like a professional level dance. So I didn't hate it as a task. I don't think it really like paid off in execution.
Sasha?
So I enjoyed it. I'll say that. I agree that it could have been better, or maybe, sorry, not even better. It works better when they, when it's towards the end, we have a high caliber maybe of celebrities, like a Chandler level, right? Like if 2 or 3 people were on that level, I think it would have been great. And I talked about this last time, but my sorority did participated in a contest like this, but we were given like a list of 30 songs that it could be. And our dance had to go with like basically almost all of them. And then like it was in the moment that as soon as they hit play is when we would know what song it was. So we never got a chance to even like try to talk to each other and work. So I think there's maybe somewhere in the middle where you can, give them a list of some things and then they can come up with it, because seeing Ilona almost fall, I don't want it. I didn't like that. I don't like that.
What Bruno said to her, like, you almost came crashing down to earth 3 times to give me a heart attack. I was laughing so hard because I was like, same. When they went to the double, let me pick you up, and then terrifying. But overall, I feel like it wasn't the time for it. I mean, like, I get that you have to do it later in the competition because you have to do it with people that are making it this far, because in the ideal world, it's people that have picked up on how to do some of these dances in such a way that they can just kind of run with whatever they get in the moment. But it's like so funny to go back. There was comments earlier of Mohammed who said, hate it, don't bring it back, followed by Amy, I loved it, I love the chaos of it. So I'm glad, we have this scale that we're going back and forth on. I don't know, maybe I'm landing somewhere in the middle, but just the fact that, at this point in the competition, I want to see well-rehearsed, memorable numbers that are going to be on that 1000th episode celebration or the 600th, maybe in a couple of years. I want to see them really like work hard on something that is going to be incredible. I want to see, I don't care if it's boring with the scoring at this point because everybody's getting a 30 or a 29. I want to see those really good dances and see what they can do after all these weeks. So for that aspect,
I don't think this is the cast for that. No, and not in a shady way. I don't
retweet.
But they also like don't get the opportunity to possibly be that cast when there's a little silly challenge every single week, and they have to have a hook, I guess, at this point to like, it's like Survivor, going into like naming ridiculous names of seasons after like the 30s of Survivor. Just we need a hook to keep people interested. But I don't know.
Wait, Sasha, I thought you meant it's not the cast for this challenge, but I actually think it's both. It's like, like perhaps like the routines that are getting 9s and 10s, I'm like not finding necessarily memorable. We could talk about those when we talk about these, but also I think like people need to be up to Chandler's level to make this good. Like I started casting votes for Chandler during her her routine, and it's like, is anybody else? And maybe Matt, this is to your point, like, if all the judges' scores are going to be mostly the same, which is like par for the course, and we're differentiating this based on audience vote, which I think is what we should be doing, is anybody like making a voting decision based on anyone's instant dance other than Chandler's, right? Like, did anybody do anything in the instant dance that is like getting people to pick up their phones and being like, boop, boop, boop? Like, yes. And I saw you put a comment up that someone said, Val said, like, this is how professional ballroom is.
Yeah, Lavender did, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love the like TikToks. I am in ballroom TikTok somehow. Thank God. Like, people are doing these like, they randomly get assigned a partner and they do like a freestyle to a song. But these are not Vals. Like, these are not professional. So I agree with Matt that like they need to be rehearsing here.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I just don't think overall they're such standout dancers. I just mean the cast. So that's why it's just something silly that worked once. But Michael, I think, and everyone in the chat has said, right, this would have been the perfect time for trios, especially a classic maybe that everyone wants back, and have the third be a former pro.
Even if not, we have plenty of eliminated pros here that are, killing it on social media, that are dying to get back on that stage for a couple minutes extra in an episode. Like, we would have so much fun to see, Britt join, and Ezra and Emma, and I don't know, maybe not Val.
Yeah, I like what Olivia said. Yeah, because let's be real, the instant dance was a time filler, not a vote swear. Real Olivia.
Right. But it was good to see the 7 paddle back. We've missed her. She's been gone for a couple of weeks. And then to see also, when I guess we should start talking about these dances, but to see a 30 pop up in this style where it was like, well, you know what? If we're judging based on this style and this level of like how you are able to jump into it, just finding out what you're about to do, Chandler and Brandon killed it. So, all right, let's do that thing where we talk about these dances. And of course that starts off, we'll just talk about them back to back. We'll talk about their first dance and their second dance. So leading off the night with Joey and Jenna, who are doing a tribute to Riker and Allison's season 20 contemporary. Ali, kick us off here.
I was actually, so something I was tracking this episode, I really do think at this stage in the competition, and some of these folks talked about this when watching the iPads, of like, you kind of are hoping you can't tell the star from the pro. And while I think Joey is my winner pick to win the season, I think he has been the whole time. I think here Jenna really like outshone him in this dance to me as the pro. I was like really distracted. I was like, oh, her quality of movement is so beautiful. I think I'm Len, but I didn't feel like Joey really like looked comfortable in this or himself. And I think Jenna said last week, like, Joey is at his best when he's playing a character. It's like the Tarzan, it's the ventriloquist. Like, here, I don't know that I really felt like he was like connecting in it. So like, God forbid I agreed with Carrie Ann and was missing a rawness. But you know, it wasn't my favorite Joey dance. I will say it.
I feel like it's hard to mess up a contemporary, and so generally I'm always just impressed if it's a good dancer, attempting the style. So I think I'm finding over the course of this first season that we're doing analysis of the show here on a podcast that again I feel easy to impress. So at least as far as the judges panel, is concerned of us here, that works for me. But Sasha, what do you think of their recreation?
Yeah, same for me. That I felt that it was really nice to watch, but I don't know what it is, and I'm having a hard time because this shows up actually in my notes a few times with the men. Is that it feels like it's lacking a bit of like oomph or like passion or rawness, right? Where Matt was kind enough to send us all the all this dances beforehand. So just watching, Riker and Allison, right? It felt like, whoo, that's hot. And they were like into each other. They don't actually have to be, but I just mean they were into each other versus I think Joey can get there. It's just something is I feel like he's holding something back, and that's why it feels like it's not all the way there for me. So it's not that it wasn't a bad dance. Like I would say, oh, choreography is good. He remembered everything. He hit everything. The lines were nice. I think his outfit really helped him as well. But it just didn't feel like it was that like connection, that like raw passion, or I don't know the right word.
No,
but yeah,
we've talked about this a little bit, and we not necessarily that we were looking for Brooks and Gleb to go this far into the season in order to get this kind of chemistry or passion between a couple. But a lot of couples really need to fake it. A lot of couples come in here and have the natural chemistry, and that's great for them. Not every couple can be, as Ali referenced, Robert and Kim. Actually having something going on, Brian and Sharna within their couple, Jenn and Sasha. But they were talking so much about their bond and how close they've gotten and how well they work together. And it's like really trying to convince almost each other that they can pull this off of showing how connected they can be in a dance when half of their storyline throughout the season has been, look at the double dating that we're doing because both of us are just so in love with our partner and like we all get along so great. And that's great. But it's like hard when the season has shown them as such good friends getting into a dance that is like has a romantic tinge to it, that like they're on the piano and they end like looking at each other lovingly, and are they going to kiss? Of course they're not. But it just, there was a little something missing there that I don't know if Joey was uncomfortable because this isn't Kelsey or what, but I felt that hesitation too.
I will say, I thought they had a lot of natural chemistry in their instant dance. Say what you will about the rumba, but I was like that maybe because it was just like so chaotic, they had to just kind of like Joey couldn't be in his head about it. But like, I wish he had that chemistry in this dance, and then I think it would have been fire flames.
Yeah, I love that actually. Yes, because that's what it is. I think that and Lavender is saying it too, right? Trying to be respectful. Because there's so much weird shit like online that Kelsey constantly has to be like, no, we're together. I don't care, blah, blah, blah. And Kim even says, like, remind me of brother-sister bond. It's just something is there's just some wall, and it could be for whatever reason. Like I don't care to hypothesize why, but that's why I couldn't feel like, oh, it's a full 10. It was still great and beautiful to watch, but I think Ali, you're right in that Jenna was beautiful to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like Francesca's comment here too. Honestly, I think he was too comfortable in just running through it, not performing it. I think Joey's been getting so much praise, and I've been with Ali in this thought all season of just feeling like he's the front runner at this point. I think he has been for a majority of the season. I think Jenn goes home because he's the front runner. Again, splitting the votes there, and just all of the votes going towards Joey was tough for Jenn. But I think, with all the comments he gets about how good he is musically, like that's correct. But I can see, that criticism that Francesca was saying being valid, that maybe he's just too comfortable and not pushing all the way through in the heat of the moment. I don't know. But as far as the second performance goes there, they got a rumba. Joey screamed out no immediately. This is not the dance that he wanted. They get Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish, and a lot of praise goes to Joey here, Sasha, for the fact that they did it first. Jenna was one of the most vocal about like, what the hell was this? Why did we just have to do that?
Yeah. I don't know. It's just bless their hearts. I feel like Joey is very much like this X thing is in my wheelhouse and I'm really good at it. And we get the backstory. If he doesn't have all of those building blocks, here we are.
Yeah. But Ali, you like this one? You like?
Yeah, Rumba's never my favorite dance. But mostly because I think like the Dancing with the Stars people aren't like that good at it. Like the celebrity is never like that good at the rumba. It's always kind of like a weird challenge. But I thought, again, like to quote Len Goodman, I thought there was good hip action. I thought it was better than the main dance. Like I thought it was a good sort of extension of the same theme of his contemporary dance. And he got 3 9s, which ended up being the second highest score of this, which I thought was right. It felt right to me.
I agree. Yeah. And again, that just shows their front runner status, that they were able to make something pretty good happen where a lot of couples did not. They did their best. Everybody did their best, and they were all commended for doing their best in a hard challenge. But I did think Joey and Jenna were pretty good, and the scores tracked there for once. Also funny about the scores in the first dance when they get a 9-10-9, 10-9-10, and Alfonso called out that it was the reverse of what they had gotten last time when Derek was the one that was just giving out 9s and or whatever. Yeah. No, they got 9-10-9. Yeah. And last time they got 10-9-10. Sorry.
Yes.
Which felt like a dig at Carrie Ann, to be honest. It felt like, suddenly, like Carrie Ann's not dropped her 10 paddle and Derek's picked it up. Loved
Sasha, I think, did you have a tweet or a sky? I don't know, what are we calling those? I
think you said skeet, Matt, and you have to own your choices.
But I'm just taking Chappelle's word. I think that's what he's using. Did we have any thoughts on Carrie Ann's like shift in voting patterns and shift in narrative or shift in criticism throughout the entire night?
Yeah, I just feel like whoever talked to Carrie Ann, shout out, right? Like, and that's what. And I think that I'm agreeing with Carrie Ann this episode. So maybe I'm the drama now. I don't know, but y'all have said it, and I'm just gonna co-sign. I didn't mind any of the scores actually this week. Maybe my expectations are in hell. So anything above hell, scape number 1, great, right? Like I'm in the 7th ring of hell and they've taken me to 6th now. So happy we're moving back up.
I did like that she got like booed for her first 2 criticisms
and
of the
shut
night.
Up,
and
audience.
She like jumped in to be like, you know what? Like the semifinals are next week. Like if you don't want me to give them criticism, then like that's crazy. Like you should want them to be their best going into the finals. I was like, well, that is valid. And she's like, and I'm going to call it as I see it. So she's standing in it at this point, but she still adjusted some of her criticisms as we went. Anybody else have anything else on Joey and Jenna?
I just want to say something about Carrie Ann.
Yes.
She was completely out of pocket 2 weeks ago, and I can relate to letting some leopard print go to your head. Like, I think really just like the vibes caught up with her. But much like you're saying, Matt, I respected that she kind of addressed it without addressing it of like, I'm giving criticism. I think that was like a big problem with her last time is like giving Chandler a 9 without any constructive criticism. So now she's giving it and she's giving that back. And I know we're going to talk about it when we get to Chandler, but I do think she didn't just overcompensate. I mean, she did, but she also kind of said like, I want you to hear this. I see you. Like, I think she was trying to address what happened last week instead of just trying to brush it under the rug. So while she irritated the hell out of me 2 weeks ago, I respect how she kind of came back into the ballroom this week because it must be difficult. Like, honestly, if I got like, when I get like crapped on, I just never come back on the podcast. Like, I don't like show up 2 weeks later and address it.
Right. It's one comment and I'm like, I'm going into hiding. And then
I'm like, okay, bye. If you don't like it, leave. Like,
oh my God.
And then she's like, if she's logging onto the internet, it's 99% like, what is wrong with this person? But it was pretty alarming to go from what she had said last week to, this week being like, Chandler, there's nobody that's ever been better than you in my entire life of watching dance. So that's that. All right, let's move on. Not Chandler just yet. Danny and Witney. Ali, my first question before we get into the actual dances here is a conversation we've been having lately of, is Danny a good dancer or is he just really hot?
Like, I'm happy to take the position of neither. Here's my position. Witney is so freaking good because she makes her partner look good. I don't think her dances are good because and I love Daniela. She's one of my favorite pros. She like got me back into loving Dancing with the Stars. But Daniela, as is said to her tonight, like does a lot of the work and you can see it. I think Witney's choreography makes Danny look so good and better than he is, frankly. And then I think his heart is really in it. So I think you need both of those things. I mean, is Danny hot? Like, he's not gonna lose sleep over my opinion of him, but like, it's not like really for me.
I mean, his body banging. Like, listen.
And Bruno, leave it open. Bruno,
we all
leave
saw,
open. Bruno's
we all
helping everyone
saw
out.
Bruno called it out. He's like, you did what you had to do in that second dance. You ripped the shirt right away. Go for it. Save yourself, a couple
can
of
I
minutes.
Just say,
yeah,
that was the same jive they did 2 weeks ago in the dance off.
It felt very similar.
What someone
it
in
was
the
same jive. At least the first like 2 8 counts were the same.
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
I know because I watched it shortly before watching this episode.
I think she got to work with what she has. And someone else in the chat also asked that about, I think Joey too. Like, was that the same? I think we just gotta, act like we didn't see it, and with horses with blinders. They're like, what I got, yes, okay, and that's good. Yes. Listen, the chat is saying he's hot. Okay, so
I mean, who's yeah. Danny was very excited to do Helio's dance. I did have to note that down. Helio Castronova, yes. I was glad that they went back to, at least a single digit season, because a lot of the other performances that they did were all from like the 20s and later. There was like one from the single digits, one from the teens, and then everything else was, I think 3 from the 20s, and then one was from season 31. So it was nice.
Jan was going to riot if they didn't have a dance with her, like that's like got to be in her contract. Like, Julianne's going to fly off the handle live on air if none of these songs are her songs.
There was a Julianne dance, there was a Derek dance. So, we covered our bases with the people that are here in the ballroom. But I don't know. Having rewatched Elio and Julianne's performance, the original here, it was tough to compare Danny and Witney's and feel like they did a great job matching up. I mean, I'll take the 9s that they get. It's not an offensive score. But as we keep talking about, when you're comparing it to a dance that's being given this tribute because it was such a memorable performance the first time around, it's tough because Danny and Elio are not on the same level, unfortunately for me.
Okay, can I ask you, Matt, as somebody who, and I did watch the dances that you very kindly sent us and collected, but like as soon as I realized that like the first dance was like not doing anything from Allison's dance, like I stopped comparing it. Like, do you think they really were comparing it, and that was like actually part of the judging? And 2, did you notice like anyone even doing like any choreography or any real nods to the dance? Like, I almost think like that was instructed, like that was a fake instruction, and everyone knew it wasn't really being compared.
No, and it's not like I was sitting there fully studying the original dances, so people may disagree, but I didn't see a whole lot of like, let's put this exact move in just so that we can have one thing that we're replicating. Because I mean, what was it? The one with Sharna and what was her partner's name? Sorry,
James.
Who?
Wasn't that James? Was that not James?
Yes. The move that they end on is where James is like holding himself up on the chair, like full body standing upwards, like while she, with the blindfold, as you were talking about, is like bent backwards over the chair. And that's one that I just remember from the rewatch of like, oh my God, like that was so cool. You would think that like maybe no, who did the recreation of that dance? That was Dwight and Daniela. Dwight would not have done that to Daniela. That is a fair point I'm making to myself here, but maybe in reverse, Daniela could have done that. She can do anything with her damn every athleticism that she's got in that body. Back to Danny and Witney.
I was like, wait,
where did we go? And somebody also commented super earlier. I couldn't pull it, but I think it was about these two and their mismatched outfits.
Okay, because that to me is it has to be a yellow suit. What's the point of doing this dance that even Jackie in the chat asked, right? Like, how many times has this been done? Like 4 to 5 times. Yeah, I'm not 100%. But either way, it's just, I think that I will say one, I feel like Danny was actually having fun in the first dance. He was smiling, okay? And he was giving way more than he's given before. Again, not sure what happened. Like, you know how they give NFL players like whatever when they get hurt in the back so that they can come back out in the same game? It's giving that's what they gave. That's what they did to Danny. Because I was like, he's smiling, he's having fun, la la la. It's fine. I just think that production does them no favors when you're not when it's called tribute without anything to be with the tribute. I still thought their like gender reveal clothing was cute, right? Like pink and blue. Fine. But but I still just like I was like at least yellow. Damn. But he was smiling. He was like, woo. I don't know. He was being silly.
I do think he's having more fun. You know, we're how many weeks in at this point? Like he has broken through a little bit in terms of showing that he wants to be there, and he's got the ability to smile without Witney like forcing his face upwards in such a pattern. But I don't know, Ali, where do you think Danny finishes this season? If we think that Joey is the front runner, do you think he's a close second, or where in the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a pleasant surprise to the audience. Like, I think now with Dwight gone, like, he's the only remaining athlete. And I do think there's a lot of love in the audience for Witney and Witney being back. And I wouldn't be surprised if they upset, like, a Steven and Riley. I think they'll out survive Ilona and Alan. Like I don't think they're going to be in. Now I'm like trying to think of who's even left. Like I think their best outcome is probably fourth, but if they squeaked into third, like I wouldn't be shocked.
We're being reminded about the Olympic athletes.
That's true, but you know what I'm saying? When I say honestly, athlete, I mean like big four, like
yeah.
like
I didn't think twice about
athlete.
it. I was like, no, you're right.
Those are Olympians, baby.
Yeah, Olympians are different, I feel, than like full on paid athletes. But also, I want to say there's only 2 women left. So at this point, if one of them goes, it's really shambles for us.
And just while I'm thinking about this, was I the only one that thought this was going to be Chandler's going home?
It's only you. There's no way.
Okay, well, obviously not based on any dancing. I just like had this deep fear, and maybe it's trauma from like recency. I don't know. Just I felt like Chandler has been in danger, and maybe because they also had her in the bottom sometime recently.
Where's Randy? Run me the number,
please. I don't know. I was worried. I was like, this is gonna be the week. They're gonna let it happen. But very.
I mean, look. Chandler is not famous to a Dancing with the Stars audience. Like, right? Like her credits are in kid tween shows who are not necessarily voting and Dancing with the Stars. And Brandon, I think like this season, but really this episode to me makes a case for Brandon being one of the most underrated pros. I don't know that he has, like, I know he's in the Arnold clan by marriage, and he like him and Chandler are doing their TikTok thing. Let me know, like, you guys are the experts. I don't feel like there's like massive fandom for Brandon yet. He's like an on the rise pro. So it wouldn't surprise me if they were to have fallen through the cracks a couple episodes ago, last week, whatever. I really think this episode, the deserved 60, rising from the ashes of the shit from Carrie Ann 2 weeks ago, is like, they're peaking at the best possible time for her to make a full run, if not to win, to be in the top 2-3.
I'm with you. And Robert's asking the fake ploy of the third couple in trouble. No, I'm exactly what Ali just said. I feel like I've been saying this from very early on that I'm worried that the fan base is not there, and I've been told that I'm wrong. And so far, it's been proved. I've been proved wrong, that she has been voted through, obviously, but I have this fear. I've watched too many seasons of this show to see one of the best dancers who may just not have the biggest fan base of the people here not make it as far as they should. And Chandler is obviously the best dancer here on the season, and she hasn't been getting the most respect up until now with the scores throughout the season. So I've just been worried. Let's just close things out on Danny and Witney. Any thoughts on their jive here? They quick change. They get to good golly Miss Molly, and I don't know. They do their best. Ali already talked about it a little bit with feeling like this was very similar to what they did a couple weeks ago. But
And this is where I think it goes to y'all's point, where they have to try really hard, and the live doesn't work. I think Danny's one of those dancers because, like I said, his first dance I actually enjoyed, and you can tell he had 2 weeks of practice to fix whatever he needed to fix. Maybe he needs Mark Ballas to come in and talk to him about each little movement. But either way, I think he doesn't. Alive does not work for Danny type because just smile a little bit. That's all. Yeah. And Terrence also says that maybe Matt, you're right that sometimes the best dancer goes home.
I'm just nervous. I'm just nervous.
As soon as they said that Ilona was good to go first of all,
that's what
I said is Dwight, goodbye.
Yeah.
I said it's either what it should be and it's Dwight, or it's a surprise and terrifying. Speaking of Dwight, our eliminated contestant of the evening here, Ali, were you thinking that Dwight, I guess, should have gone home in the past couple of weeks, or does this feel like an okay landing spot?
No, and I know I'm coming into a hostile room here about my Daniela and Dwight stand-up, but I really got reinvigorated from Dancing with the Stars, from falling in love with Iman Shumpert, and they are not the same. But what is notable, and I think just always thrust upon Daniela, and then she's not given enough credit for it, or maybe people think she's giving too much credit for it, is just the insane level of difficulty that they love to do to her, of just she's teeny tiny and he's enormous, and just how difficult it is to enjoy a dance done by someone with such a drastic height difference. And they're not the only pairing that has physical differences, right? You could say the same thing about Ilona and Alan, that they're dealing with sort of atypical ratios between them, and they're making it work and doing co-lifts and all of this. But I thought 2 weeks ago, I did not agree that 10 was not deserved. I loved their dance. I thought it was their best dance, and I was happy for them, and I was happy they didn't go home. Here I will say, after seeing everyone else's dance, it was time for Dwight to go. But I loved, again, the innovation that Daniela does here. I think they should have done the entire dance on the pedestal. I don't think they should have left the pedestal except to do the Argentine tango weird lifts where they're half your size anyway. The question I have for you guys, besides what you thought of the dance, is just can you pay tribute to the Sharna original dance without one of them being blindfolded for some portion of it?
No, I'm on Dancing with the Stars TikTok. I didn't know I was on Dancing with the Stars Twitter before, the mass exodus from Twitter here. But I saw Dancing with the Stars Twitter popping up saying, how are they not doing that? Because I guess they were doing previews of it on random social media sites, showing what it was going to look like. And people were like, how are they not doing the blindfold? Yeah, the chat is all,
No, I just think that's so funny.
No. How do you do it without the blindfold? It's a no from me.
Especially they need a gimmick, right? This is a pair that needs a gimmick. Yes. They gave them a gimmick. Have Dwight be blindfolded. Mix it up a little bit. Fine. Do it for just a portion. That said, I do commend Daniela for not taking the bait, because it also could have been such an effing disaster. And she nobody else was actually doing anything from the dance. And it was kind of a cool power move for her to be like, I'm not doing this just because you think I have to, or I should, or I can, but maybe they would have stuck around if they were a little blindfolded.
Hell no. Someone would have died.
Do you trust Dwight with Daniela having been blindfolded? We just
he
saw
almost dropped her last
he almost
week.
dropped her, and that was without blindfolds being involved. So I think that must have had a lot to do with this. If this was probably Chandler and Brandon, Joey and Jenna, I think the blindfold absolutely can come into play, but I don't think Daniela ever would have trusted that.
I mean, you're saying he couldn't have picked her up off the pedestal and done one of the walkabouts with her blindfolded, put her down and take the blindfold.
I don't want it.
Yeah, maybe
we
half
don't
of
need
it.
it.
Sure.
No,
run all those no's again from the chat. No,
yeah, right. That was so funny. No, if anything, it could have been a pirate, a one eye patch. That's the only thing for safety reasons, right?
Each of them have one patch.
I'm telling you, I just come on and like it's just me being like, for safety reasons, this is now a padded room.
I'm dying at the patch. That's the funniest thing anyone's ever said.
That's the only thing I would have allowed. I would have been like, and now this is a padded room. We'll be seeing them from another spot. Oh yeah, and thank you, Lavender. Danny slipped on her skirt.
Mhm.
So imagine
A lot of the pros-
blindfold. Absolutely.
A lot of the
Well, that
pros
was the
messed
other
up
dance.
during that second dance. Yeah,
That was the
just-
second dance.
I guess, like, again, we'll talk about some of the specifics as they come up, but a lot of the pros kept saying, like, apologizing for their slip ups, as if like I would give them a hard time for not having a perfect dance when you have 5 minutes to actually make sure that your star knows what they're doing. That's besides the point. Daniela and Dwight delivered, I would say, this season for me. I know I've been like a couple weeks now waiting for them to go because it just feels like this was the time for them to go. But like, especially in this episode, in their final two dances, like I got enough out of these two to make it feel worthwhile that I'm glad that they were here. Dwight had this optimism for being here every week that you just didn't feel like you expected. Maybe
And why
because
was he late to practice?
right,
Nah.
exactly.
I'm
Like
just
Sasha sending me that TikTok or whatever, the tweet maybe that Daniela was posting, being like, just so you guys know, if this week's bad, it's because Dwight shows up late every single day. We didn't have any time to practice, but Dwight still showed up with this optimism and this trust in Daniela that like it still created a very good partnership between the two of them. We got to see Daniela do some of the most insane acrobatics that like she's been able to do ever because of, you know, they took it what should have been a disadvantage for the two of them and made it work, made it show off a lot of really cool things that Daniela was able to do. So I thought that was great. I need Daniela to have the best male star next season because I know, like, Ali, you were just talking about Daniela and Iman, like how great that was. And I remember you being all over my Twitter timeline that season, like stumping for them every single week.
The last time I voted, I had not voted this season. My last vote
was it for
was
Iman?
Amon vote limit exceeded. Limit 10 votes for couple.
I love it.
On November 22nd, 2021.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
As soon as you said that, I was like, oh, I absolutely remember those days. 5,000 years ago, 2 years ago. But
yeah, we also have
yeah.
a few more in the chat that I wanted to bring up. That
Please.
main girl says, right, that it looked like she wasn't supposed to be on her knees at the end. They are so vibes only, main girl, that even if she wasn't, one, Dwight is so vibes that he can sell it, actually, I will say. And Danny's choreography is good enough, I think, that any mistakes are carried for her. It's a mess. Muhammad also asked, which I wanted to bring up because a few people said that. Muhammad and Francesca said, Dwight took so long to dress up. And they were worried that he was
this man
too long.
was entertainment.
See
He was
him.
giving them a show.
You could see him.
He almost took his robe off. Like, first of all, what were the robes? That was insane. Watching these
I
people.
thought that
Thank you for bringing up the robe.
Yeah,
Insane.
all night.
It's a
like
stupid bit. I loved it. I think it's so silly. And the fact that for the height, you could see
you
Dwight's
could see him over.
everything.
Yeah.
What's the point of
so
watching people
funny.
change?
And he was giving a little shimmy in the what he knew we could see. But he almost took
Like
the
Liv
robe all
said,
the way off
personality higher. Yeah.
before he walked into the room. That was insane. He is very funny. And yeah, the robes. I want if anybody wants to get me a Christmas gift or Hanukkah gift, give me the HOH robe and get me the Dancing with the Stars robe.
You know what?
Give me the
I would
duo.
love an HOH. Yes. I'm with you on that.
Pick
Yeah.
one of each, please.
Yes.
So yeah, and then when we get to their Paso Doble, Daniela also joining the crowd of people screaming out when they got their dance style. Daniela screams, "Oh no!" A lot of people, besides anybody but Steven, essentially did not get the dance that they were hoping to get.
Yeah. Still think it was funny and just vibes. He's so tall, like enough. You know what I mean? Like the joke is like over. And this, to me, the live dance, like they really sent it home for me. In Passover you say like Dianu, right? Like it's been done. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like I think they're trying to, have a second coming of an Aman of just like what they were able to accomplish, which was really exciting. I think Dwight was a little bit too tall for that.
Yeah.
And too vibey. And like that was something about him I didn't love. Like he was a joy to watch, but I did like kind of feel like there was a line blurred between like respect for the process and Dwight kind of bragging like in his first dance, like, oh, I improvised like half of it you didn't know. Like, let's do the choreography that Danielle's working on. But with the another complaint I have about, I'm gonna say the freestyle, not the freestyle, the instant dance, is like I kind of think it's bullshit they gave him 7s. I don't think they didn't deserve it. Like they definitely, I don't think they ever recovered after that little slip of her skirt, but I don't really think this instant dance should matter that much. And giving them such a lower score than everybody else, I think gave this like too much impact. I mean, I think they would have gone home regardless. I just thought it was a little harsh.
Yeah, like I said, I was happy to see the 7 paddle still around. But and if it was going to be used anywhere, I guess this makes sense. But I, at a certain point, it almost feels like they have decided it's just going to be 8s and above. So it was a little bit of like, all right, we really need to make sure they finish in the bottom this week. I don't know. I also want to shout out for the 2 people this might land for in the chat. When they said that they were doing Victorious, I was waiting for them to do like Make It Shine by Tori Vega rather
yeah.
than.
For me too. I said, oh, Victoria.
I know. And then
Throwback.
I'll still take Panic at the Disco, but like I was expecting it to possibly go a different
But
direction.
Victorious is Nickelodeon, right?
Yes.
Oh, so yeah, they can't do that.
Yeah.
Boo, Disney. I'm just
But
kidding.
that would have been hysterical. And yeah, the judges can't do much besides, be honest in this moment. It was funny because every single time they got to these criticisms of the second dances, they were like, look, this is crazy that you guys have to do this. Like, I don't know who was in charge of putting this week together. This is still insane. But like, you did your best. Great job. Energy. It's there. So
You showed up, but like that was what they said. You're a beating heart and a warm body.
yeah. And Daniela
On the
gave
challenge
Dwight the
podcast tomorrow, should I like if Brian says something, should I just be like energy? That'd be like an Easter egg for this audience.
Hips.
Yes.
Ooh, energy. Like, yes. And then I just hold up a 7.
Was it somebody in the chat, right? Pointed out Daniela slipping on her dress. Or something. Yeah. And she gave Dwight credit saying, he really picked me up when I really needed it there. So, they all did the best they could. And
yeah,
again,
they paused before the or they compliment. That's me when I'm trying to be nice to people on podcasts. I have to be like, oh, I can't say that. I really should. And then the filter, thankfully, sometimes comes out.
Let's
Me
move
watching
along.
for Sasha pausing now this entire podcast. Like, was that a pause? Did you pause?
Steven and Riley, let's get into it. They're doing the first dance of the night is a Viennese waltz tribute to Charlie and Mark. Ali, you said this wasn't even your favorite Charlie and Mark dance. I mean, they were just really good. So Charlie and
Yeah,
Mark,
honestly, any of their dances could have been on here. It's funny when Sasha, when you were talking about a freestyle, I think Charlie and Mark's freestyle came to mind, and then I was like, oh, but it was a freestyle, right? Like that's another thing. It's like so many of the most iconic dances are the freestyles.
Yeah, fair.
And I guess you can't really do that. The ambulance is coming to take me away for that typing hot take. But I think Mark coming to the rehearsal was so successful. I know Sasha, you're dying to talk about Mark's premier education here.
Yeah, no, I really am. I felt like Muhammad saying like Riley was the only one that kept the choreo the same. Is it because Mark was right there? And she had no choice. But either way, yeah, Mark is so good. And I know that like it's a family thing for him, right? His mom was a ballroom dancer as well. Right?
He's basically
I don't know.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. But either way, it's just I think that he is so smart and I just love when folks make something hard accessible instead of dumbing it down. And that's what he does, where he doesn't. Okay, thank you. Rebecca and Francesca say both parents actually. But I just feel like because the way he was giving the feedback, right? He's like, oh, imagine you have an egg in your hand. And then I'm like, oh, I get it. Because that's how my hand would move if I did have it. So I really appreciate that he's able to teach and make it accessible. And boy, Steven did that thing. Okay. I said he is grown up because Steven, I don't know what y'all think, but I feel like he reads young, even though he's 26. I feel that he reads younger, just like Brandon. I did not think that man was 30. So Steven reads young, and I think a dance like this, just like what I was saying before for Joey, but needs a little bit of like, I don't know the right word, and I don't want to like sound misogynist or the wrong word in that or like toxic, to where, you know, I just need like something from him and fill in the blank. But yeah, I just felt like Mark got him there, and it's like, does age, you know, help him get to that next level? Like, I'd love for 3 years or 4 years later he comes back and does this dance. But I don't know if that's in my head. But either way, it's just, I was like, ooh.
Shout out to Cinderland. Corky, I forgot about Corky's season. He did one season. I think it was just one season, and was it like chorus or something? I don't know. That was.
I'm just laughing at the comment making Matt laugh. Like the memory making you laugh.
This is why we love the comments.
I just feel like, oh my god, he was a pro on one of these seasons. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
The Cloris Leachman? No.
I think it was. Yeah.
Cloris,
But he made it 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh my
god. 5 weeks. 6 dances.
Yeah, Rebecca said it too. That's crazy.
I thought Steven was set up for failure here, and I think he really overcame that. I just like doing anything that Mark and Charlie did, not only because a lot of what they did was so good, but also it's pretty recent. So a good amount of people that are watching remember the two of them. And so to live up to that, when, you know, the vibe that you get from Riley and Steven both collectively is very young. I mean, Riley being 19 certainly drags the average age down for the two of them. Talking about Riley, you know, being negative 3 days old when Dancing with the Stars premiered was a very funny revelation for a lot of them. So to see this couple who don't have that same energy or whatever that Charlie and Mark did, even though Charlie also was pretty young, if I'm not mistaken, but like didn't feel that way because I guess Mark dragged them up a little bit in age. Steven and Riley, I think, had every reason to not do well here, but did very well. And they get a score that reflects that. How insane was it? We all thought they were getting the 30, right? And then when Bruno pulls out the 9 paddle, 10, 10, 9, and Alfonso makes a comment being like, Bruno's gonna have a hard time getting out of here tonight because he gave a 9 instead of a 10. I think I thought for sure it was a 30. Steven and Riley seemed like they thought it was going to be a 30. So when that 9 paddle pops up, you're like, Bruno, what are you doing? But
Mark is somewhere punching the air.
Right.
He's like,
or you know, he's probably happy because he got the 30 and they didn't. So
fair.
I will help Bruno to his car because here's the thing. Once again, not to keep being,
because I'm with you actually. Yeah.
Not to keep being negative, but like I did think when I thought this was going to be more of like a direct comparison to the original dance, I was like, oh, they're screwed. Like Steven is no Mark. But like, I think that kind of comes out of it because I just don't think the judging was at all based on like the actual dance. And I think it was a good dance for them because, as you were saying, Matt, like Charlie was really young, and that was like a real theme of that season of like Mark being in his mid-30s, I think, or mid to late 30s at the time, and Charlie being underage, like at
every Bollywood movie ever, please.
He was like talking a lot about like not being able to lean on making dances really sexy and having chemistry. Riley and Steven was like watching a church pageant to me. Like he did the dance, he tried, I think he improved. Like I think they deserved the scores they got, but a perfect 30 to me, it was not. I felt like it was a little nervous, a little weird, a little like it wasn't as fluid. You could tell who the pro was. Like it to me was not a perfect dance. It was a very good dance. It was probably one of Steven's best dances, but it was not a perfect 30 for me.
And I agree, especially when hearing or when remembering that Jackie's pointing out that shouldn't have been the first perfect score of the season. I mean, Brooks almost gets the first 10 of the season thanks to Simmons' wild ass. But yeah, you know, you want the first perfect score to be something that you really know is the first perfect score of the season. And when I realized that we had not gotten one yet, I think Gene threw me off on the whole season, not knowing when that was actually going to come. I was very happy when it was revealed that it was actually Chandler that got it, and it was like, okay, that made sense as our first 30 here. So, but 100% agree that it was probably his best of the season so far. Showed a side of him, as the judges pointed out, that we have not seen yet. He's really good at, a lot of, I don't know, like getting into some of the characters he's gotten into, but this showed a different side, a different thing that he's able to do with all of the hard work that he has been putting in. With their instant dance, they get a jive, and they get to do "Love Is Embarrassing" by Olivia Rodrigo, and they were very excited to get this jive. The one couple that got exactly what they were hoping for here. So that worked out.
Yeah. I don't. It was nice. I will say the first dance of Steven and Riley was actually my favorite, second favorite, dance of the night. Chandler's obviously being the first. Spoiler. But my instant jive, I literally said, was fun, and I felt like I was watching and locked in on them the whole time. But outside of that, yeah, I don't think he is necessarily, again, suited for a live dance, and that's okay. I still think he's a good, he's a good dancer. I think he's doing well.
Yeah, I think actually Riley didn't do them any favors by celebrating. I think that set expectations too high. Like, where's Daniela when she was like, no, at the paso, and then until she slipped on her skirt, I was like, actually, like, are they pulling it off? Like, they're kind of doing well. Like, I just think expectations are key here. I did think they had like a lot of dance content for like it being an instant dance. Like, I think some folks were getting criticism that it was like safe and clean, meaning like you did an easy little like B dance. So good on them. Whether or not they leveraged a lot of content from their original drive. I mean, we've seen Steven jump over her before. So I'm sure they did leverage some of that content, but I thought they were about to like smash it because she said like, wow, like it was the only one they practiced. And it was like just as whatever as everybody else's.
Yes.
It was also close, wasn't he? Like when he jumped over her, I feel like he just barely made it.
She had to get out of the way.
Yeah. So that was tough. But he lands in a split, and everybody's happy, everybody's cheering. I thought they were going to get higher scores. I thought I was expecting to see 9s across the board. It ends up coming in at a 9, 8, and an 8 for a score of 25. And
unfortunately,
yeah, probably. I don't know. I feel like the energy of like them being so excited just carried into me being like, oh, this is actually pretty good. And again, I'm easy to impress. But Riley was blown away to at least get the 1-9, I guess, feeling pretty hard on herself after feeling like she messed up. So they get a 54 for the 2 rounds, and they are safe going into our semifinals next week. So we'll see where these two land. I mean, just like quickly before we get off of them, do they make the finals? Yes? No? We
oh my gosh. Only 3 make the final, or 4?
Probably it's going to be 4. I think one more couple will go home next week, and we'll be down to a final 4 for the finale, unless they pull a fast one on us and say 5 again.
Jenny and him.
Yeah, you don't think Ilona's in danger of being next?
Oh, I think Ilona's gone, unfortunately. So that's why I'm wondering if I don't know.
She and Alan have such strong fan support, but I do think, and from a dance perspective, I agree with you. Like,
yeah, I'm only talking about dance.
Yeah, but I do think she has like a huge amount of like fans, though.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert to my take on her dancing this week. I feel like her heart is like not as like, I don't know if she's getting run down by the process. Like, I feel like she doesn't have the same like joie de vivre as she did like coming into this.
Yeah.
I felt like that for her live, where I was like, girl, you good? Are you there?
I feel like she's been beaten down by the criticisms
maybe
over the couple of weeks. All right, we'll get to her very soon.
Also, can I say one more thing? Sorry.
Please.
Mark Ballas's dad is a hottie. That's all. Just like this family, I'm so into them.
Right?
Should we get him back for season 34? You think he would?
Just needed to say that. Sorry.
I'm sure we could. And he could have been there tonight. Come on, what are we doing?
Yeah.
All right, Chandler and
really
Brandon.
Quick, just 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 5 people left after this episode.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. We're losing one more on the way to the finale.
Gotcha.
Last season was so confusing. They go to the end, I think, with 5 couples, and it's like, what are we doing here? 4 is already too much. Sometimes I'm like, I'm down for 3 and give each couple in the finale 3 dances each. But whatever. Okay, Chandler and Brandon, 2 perfect scores throughout this night. Ali, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, I really had not much of a reaction to their first dance, except like literally my notes. This is just a 10 out of 10. It was
Mhm.
so crisp. It was so clean. There was so much content. She looked like the pro. Brandon also looked like the pro. Like they looked like two professional dancers. It was incredible. And I was very happy to see that this, like you guys were saying, felt like the first 30 of the season and deserved it.
Mhm.
Yeah, someone I'm old, I'm auntie, but someone play like HOTT, that cuz listen, it was so hot. And the way Chandler moves, cuz we've been a little down and I don't know that I'm fully back up, but we've been a little down, right, on Brandon's choreography, but I think the fact that this was a tribute really helped because I think she was able to go up in her choreography. And Bruno talked about, right, like, oh, we don't see, was it Bruno or Derek? Sorry. Derek, that, the leg action, you don't see that often because it felt like she graduated. The feedback I'd give Steven, right, is like, oh, I think you need to go up one more in like your, sex, whatever. I don't know. Insert the PC word.
Mhm.
But for Chandler, it felt like, ooh, this is a grown, like I'm watching someone grown do like grown shit. And it was hot. Precise and clean. I don't know. All of it just felt really good. And Adrian, what the hell? What do you mean? Instagram and TikToks are haters tonight on Chandler. Let's fight.
I told you I'm nervous. Well, we might have to fight them.
This
I think it was Bruno.
podcast asked for a vote, and the vote is for Chandler.
Yeah, I'm
And
behind it.
Ilona, please.
I think it was Bruno that was, I think in the second dance that they did, that was like, this is a winner. These are winners in front of me. Not necessarily like endorsing them as his own pick, but just saying like, when we look for what a winner looks like, it is what these two bring to the dance floor. Which I need to keep it on Bruno for a second because him and Derek in the judging of Chandler and Brandon, first Derek with one leg in the air and then Bruno with the double leg in the air. I'm like, okay, it's bad enough that these two are, well, Bruno's always like falling on to Derek, and sometimes vice versa. But then like for Derek to then turn around to Bruno Tanioli with both legs in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Get me out of here. Shut it down. Shut it down. Alfonso almost had to jump in and like put Bruno's legs back down himself. These two can be unhinged, Bruno especially, but like this was a new level. And it was
everyone was happy about legs on the dance floor, baby.
It was insane. And this was in the 8 o'clock hour too. We didn't even get to the 9 o'clock hour yet. The kids are up and watching. It's fine. So that happened there, but what else can you say about their first dance?
What do you think about this? Where we got two of these, where Terrence and Lavender say, Terrence asked, do you think Brandon was having a hard time keeping up with Chandler? And then Lavender says Chandler was intense, Brandon was intense, but couldn't be intense together, chemistry wise.
I think Brandon needs to trust Chandler more.
Yes.
What I feel.
Oh, I love that. I love how you said that. Yeah. I think that Brandon and someone in the chat was saying this too, right? That his wife was like, hey, he's never made it past week 8, blah, blah, blah. I think Brandon got to let go of whatever baggage he has and let it be. And let's just keep elevating my girl.
Yeah.
How do we get like Derek or Mark to come in and do a little choreography for Chandler? Please.
So I really was high on Brandon this episode. Like I said before, I thought this was sort of his like coming out episode.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going back to look at who he has been paired with in the past. And like not him being paired with Tinashe in his first season. Like and
they went home.
Yeah. Like they should have been in the top. Like he got an amazing partner, sort of the equivalent of like the Harry and Riley, like in terms of like how far he could have taken it. And Harry couldn't even dance. Tinashe could dance.
I had such high
like
hopes
the
for
young
Jordan
hotness.
Sparks and Brandon. I thought it might have gone a little later into the season, but they were like mid-season boot. Obviously, this is Brandon's best performance yet. Best partner, best everything, and this is, I think, I don't know if you still have it pulled up, Ali. I think this would be his first time making it to the finals if he makes it there this time around. Which
his highest placement was 8th place with Lily Pons.
Him and Jordan Sparks finished lower than 8th?
They finished in 9th place.
Oh my
Both
God.
week 7, but technically 8th versus 9th place.
Well, again, best showing so far. It was cute to hear him talk about, I've been doing this since I was 13, which made me pause. I was like, not on this show, because if you just turned 30, you have not been here since you were 13, I don't think.
Not on this show. But Riley was on Dancing with the Stars Jr.
Right, but that was only a couple of years ago. She is still 19. So Brandon, I think, was he so you think you can dance guy? Because maybe he means that. I don't know. The chat
tell us, chat.
Well, no, I think he's been doing ballroom dance since he was 13.
That makes sense, but not Dancing with the Stars. They do not have people in this group.
Bringing it back to Quirky Ballas, according to Wikipedia, he began dancing at age 12, and he trained with Mark Ballas, Quirky Ballas, and Shirley Ballas.
Francesca saying he did a segment one season when he was 13 and he won. I don't remember.
Let's give Brandon a little boot camp or whatever. And this is interesting that Brandon apparently, according to Francesca, said that having a partner this good stresses him out. Listen, baby, we are Dancing with the Stars.
Right? Do you want the mirror ball or not? That mirror ball has Len Goodman's name attached to it now. You have got to put in the work and let.
Do you want that, or do you want freaking Dwight Howard? What up?
Now that I'm interested in seeing.
Right? Actually, they should give men to the it should be a man pair. The height difference would be much less.
Oh my God. But that's another speculation podcast. I'd be happy to do it, but maybe not here. So I'm still thinking about Derek and Bruno. So they get a perfect score in the first one. The second one, we get Apple by Charlie XCX, which Brandon, come on, what are we doing? Not knowing that one. He's on TikTok.
Crazy.
I see him on TikTok.
Not him acting like 30 is like he's 300.
I know.
I'm 33 and I
don't know it.
Yeah,
but
also,
I don't be on the TikTok.
I also turned 30 this summer. Brandon Armstrong birthday. Do we have the same birthday? Imagine. No, June 5th. That's not summer. I guess it is. Close enough.
It is. What do you mean?
Let's go, Ali. You only listen to the audio. But as we've already talked about, with their instant dance, they do really well, especially in comparison to a lot of other couples that fumble their way through this. It was like, that a lot of these couples were practicing as much as they could of all 4 different styles that they possibly were going to get. And I don't know if this is just the one that I know I was saying before that Steven was maybe the only one happy with the style that he got. They were happy, or at least Chandler was happy to get the cha-cha here. Brandon looked alarmed for whatever reason. He got a 30.
Yes. And Brandon said that he forgot, or he didn't correctly, or he mistimed, the dance. So they didn't have the last whatever second step and they winged it. Oh, or they learned it last minute. Brandon, baby boy. Okay. Wang says this.
Oh, right? Sorry. I took your comment away.
It's fine. Wang said, listen, gotta let them demons go. Liv says, where is a therapist? Okay, something.
And Nicole says, what did Derek say? Ali ate and left no crumbs.
Here's something about this dance. What the hell in the Lisa Frank was going on behind them? Did you guys notice these rainbow manatees jumping through the water? I was like, was this happening at everyone else's dance? I only noticed it in theirs.
Is it the Gen Z? You see, listen, y'all got to tell me because I'm old. But to me, it was giving Gen Z and Charlie. I don't know.
No, it was giving a boomer production person was this is what the kids right? I bought my kid a folder with this on it. Let's animate it and pop it on the screen. I don't know.
That was us millennials. But yeah, okay. Liv is saying it is a Gen Z trend.
Well, the song is, but is the dolphin?
The manatees? Liv, come back. The manatees?
Dolphins too.
They were not dolphins. They were sea cows.
Period.
But I'll say
apparently it is.
Okay, well, okay, boomer me. To me, the dance, let's focus on the dance. This was the only dance that I felt, the instant dance, that was completely successful. I thought it looked like it intended to be with the song, which is insane because Brandon had never heard the song. And you could never intend a cha-cha to be to that song. So for it to look so natural and intentional is amazing. And this is where it's like, it's obviously Chandler getting credit. It's Brandon getting credit too. This made me grab the phone and vote for her, which query why I didn't in her last dance, which I also thought was a perfect 10. So, and I thought they deserved the 10s. Like, you couldn't have done better on the instant dance to me than this.
If I may offer another plug for your podcast partner, Brian's dog Sunny, right, is did the best Apple TikTok that
I almost made a
seen.
joke that I learned it from Sunny, but then I was like, I kind of talked a lot about that.
That gave me a real good laugh and smile with that TikTok. So go check that out if you missed it on Brian Cohen's TikTok. So that's that. A perfect score. These two deserve to be there at the finale. They deserve to be the winners of the season, if you ask me. I think we're really just, at this point of, I need to let my fear go about can they do it? And because all we can do, as we've learned,
Matt, come on,
keep voting and, get them to the end.
The votes got to count somewhere, guys.
There's, a couple couples left here that are all relatively deserving in their own right, but how can you not,
well, can
see
I
the case for these two?
May I, after my throat hurts from stumping for them, but may I just say, what I look for in my Dancing with the Stars winner is a Joey, is somebody, is somebody that comes, is a man. No, I just like somebody who shows up, a tennis pro bachelor, and it suddenly becomes Lord of the Dance. Like, I like an unexpected star turn. Chandler is closer to that than a JoJo Siwa or a Charlie D'Amelio. So I would still be very, very happy with a Chandler win. But I am like 60-40, I think, rooting for Joey and Jenna, because I just like it at my roots, at my core, like as a Dancing with the Stars fan, I'm rooting for that anybody can dance ratatouille, anybody can cook, like someone can come here and like, become a ballroom star. That said, I'm throwing votes to Chandler too, because she really, does deserve it.
Jackie says the best Bachelor in Dancing with the Stars history is not losing the season. TBA.
Yeah. He's winning. No, Joey's taking it.
Well, who's the last Bachelor to win? Hannah, like the last Bachelor.
Hannah or Caitlin, whichever one was more recent. Because they were back to back. So I don't remember which one was first, which one was second.
Has a Bachelor won? Like Matt didn't.
Nope. So Bachelorettes have, Bachelors have not won.
I don't think I understand from my mom that Joey was very popular because I did not watch his season of The Bachelor, but I don't think like being the Bachelor is enough to get you the win. I really do think if Joey wins,
with the Stars, I feel
it takes you a long way, but he would have had to be.
But like the Bachelor, like Matt James didn't win. Like people from The Bachelor haven't won.
Really good plus.
Right, being really good plus. I agree.
Because I mean, Hannah and Caitlin both were really good. Melissa, obviously, as well, if you go back to those days. So we'll see. We'll see how that all plays out with the finale again. So close. All right, last couple here before we wrap up for the day. Ilona and Alan. And they finally get a 10. Which they were so excited about. We talked about Carrie Ann's reversal of her criticism that she was giving. She was a lot nicer with Chandler this week, also with Ilona, and I feel like it was necessary for Ilona's confidence in herself in this season. I feel like a lot of her story has been about her confidence in showing her confidence as a human being, let alone just as a dancer. And we were talking about earlier that it just feels like she kind of has been pulled out of it. Like all of the joy that she had earlier in the season just isn't as apparent anymore. And she really has to get herself to be joyous when she goes out there. I think she's still having fun when she's talking to the judges and they're like, what the hell did you just say? She's like, I don't know, I just said something stupid. Like those are still fun moments, but I don't know. It almost feels like she's just dreading every week thinking that she might go home, because we're all sitting here thinking that she might go home soon. I feel like she might think the same, and she's just kind of getting through to the point where she finds out if she is or not. I don't know. I don't think she believes she can win. I wish she did.
I think first dance, it was all good. I felt like she was herself. Ilona gonna, do her like quirky thing that just makes me fall in love with her every time. I don't know what happened in the second one. I felt like Space Jam, where someone, the aliens just showed up and took everything. Because and even Carrie Ann was like, what did you say? What happened?
Right.
And she's like, no, I'm just saying it's nothing. It's nothing. So I don't know what happened with the vibe shift. And because in the first one, Bruno said, right, you led him. He was your accessory. And I was like, Alan, your choreo is meh. So it makes sense that Ilona did what needed to be done. I don't know what happened. I don't know. But girl, come back. Come back to us.
They
Speaking
got
of
off on the
dogs.
wrong. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
Speaking of dogs, Alan has a really cute new dog. Jeff Bernstein, Bernstein has debuted on social media for all those.
I'm sorry. His
interested.
name is Jeff Bernstein.
Yes.
That's hilarious. Like that's like my rabbi's name. No, I mean, so they got off on the wrong foot with me when in the package, Alan's like, you were underscored last week. I don't believe she was underscored. And I think they're coming from like a place where they're adversarial to the judge or they're feeling like, you know, we're getting unfairly treated and then therefore they're not going to improve the choreo, the dance or whatever. I know like the judges raved about their first dance. I wasn't like living for it. I didn't think it was bad. I just like wasn't living for it. I don't think she's like lighting up the ballroom in the way she once did. I really didn't like the costumes, which is a weird thing to nitpick.
Agreed.
I thought they were quite drab, like and confusing.
They keep doing her so dirty with the costumes, and I'm not understanding why. Because she's so tall. Like tall people just look good in things. What the hell?
True. As a short woman, tall people do just look
That's
good
what
in
I'm
things.
saying.
Yes.
I'm a
Liv
short
says-
girly, and I'm so jealous.
Liv says if Brandon gets first dibs in the therapist, Ilona gets the second session.
No, put
Yeah,
Ilona in first.
maybe. Look, they still like seem like they're having fun together, like if nothing else. I think this pair has been lighting up social media, as Ali was pointing out as well, because they have such a fun dynamic, and Ilona just knows how to work a TikTok trend and anything beyond. So they have been so much fun, you know, on your phone for 6 days a week, and then when they get onto the screen to do the dance, you just like something feels like it's missing. But they're still doing well enough. I mean, look, the first dance of the night that they do, they get a 10 and 2 9s. So, you know, they're not at the bottom of the leaderboard as far as the first dance goes, in the second one as well. What did they get there? They get 3/8 again, which is like their place of misery, but they were happy with it. They were probably expecting worse, or at least Ilona seemed to be. Who knows if they're going to make it to the finale? I think we're all a little skeptical about it, but I hope if next week is the last week, I hope they go out having a little bit more fun.
I think they kind of deserved worse than 3/8, like with the lift. Like if you're gonna do these chaotic lifts and you're gonna mess them up, how is that different than what Daniela and Dwight did? You know, like I feel like they weren't penalized properly for that kind of end of routine disaster. And when Carrie Ann was like, it was clean, I was like, it was not clean. It was like my apartment. It was a mess. Like, but it was also, it's hard to do a salsa to dip. Like I like in that way, it made me chuckle and I enjoyed it because it was just like so absurd. So like kudos for them for trying to even do it.
I literally I came onto this podcast being like, I am not the guy who knows everything about dance. But I could tell you that this song did not make sense for salsa.
Yeah. Even my husband, right, who just happened to be having dinner like while theirs was going on. First of all, he was mesmerized by Ilona and Alan because he's like, do you know like how strong they need to be able to do what they're doing? Like he's like indignant that they didn't get 10s because he's like, no, even if it was bad, do you know how strong? Like he is going hard for them. And then he's like, why would they give them this song? Obviously, they would need to do flips. So they should give them a better song. Salsa is so hard. Mind you, this man don't know nothing about nothing. And he's like, salsa, you have to be so precise and you have to hit the right beats. Why would they give this? And I was like, dude, chill out. Like, this is just at this point, vibe.
Get him on. Where is he? Get him on microphone.
Yeah. And he can't. He was indignant about Ilona and Alan. And he's like, they deserve better because they're so strong and she's strong and I love how strong this like women are. And I was like, okay, dude,
he got Daniela. He saw all the cool stuff happening and he was like, what do you mean that's not a perfect 30?
Like this is not ESPN 10. This is not a weightlifting championship. Like
right.
but like But I agree. I'm a sucker for lifts, and I love it, and I love what they've done, and like her lifting him and him lifting her. This was just not it. But I appreciate and respect their strength.
Again, Bruno being like, you almost crash landed 3 times. Because the first time that Alan goes to pick her up, it's just like she doesn't land on the shoulder correctly. And so then they make it happen. He gets her where he needs to. And then she does the exact same thing. Again, it seems like a bit of a fumble because they were just not in their rhythm. And Derek also had me laughing when he was like imitating her. I've been better, Carrie-Anne. In the first round of judges analysis. So I don't know. The judges were mostly pretty funny throughout the night.
Yeah. No, I can't. No, I'm not even going to drag the judges this time.
They had a good night.
For me.
So when they got the first round of scores, Carrie-Anne screaming out, this is obviously a 10, while the other 2 guys give a 9 and a 9. They're like, look, it was an improvement. Also funny. But so, yeah, again, this couple, they've given us a lot of entertainment throughout the season. Also have given us a lot of self-reflection, especially on Ilona's part. We'll see what they can do in either their last week next week or all the way to the finale. We'll see.
Yeah, I just and Liv says this but and I've been sitting with it too, that this season tries to hide stars behind the tricks, and I think that's fair. I think that's really fair. Again, I like her, and I feel like I've said this on every podcast ever, but when good things happen to my faves, I don't care. I want to be very clear. I literally am like, oh, great. I don't like that underdog shit if it's my fave. My fave needs to be the overdog at every single time. Okay, I don't care. I don't care. So I'm ride or die like that. So that's why I think it's good that Ilona's here. But I understand what chat and a lot of people are saying is like, listen, if we were to compare, she's not improving as well. And like y'all both have said, there is some disassociation or something going on, some roadblock. But either way, I'm excited to see her because that's my girly. Yep.
Let me just review the leaderboard here as the night ended with overall it was Chandler and Brandon on top with the perfect score of 60 out of 60, followed by Joey and Jenna with 55, Steven and Riley with 54, Ilona and Alan with 52, Danny and Witney with 51. I'm surprised to see that laid out here. And then Dwight and Daniela at the bottom with 48. Ali, now going into our semifinals next week, does that leaderboard reflect where you feel these couples are?
Yeah, I mean, I think Joey and Chandler in the 1-2 in that order, Chandler, then Joey. That's like funny, right? But like, I think that's right. I think I'm going to put Danny as the wild card of making that top 3 and Steven and Ilona at the bottom. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I think that. Like, if you told me going into this podcast, like I'd be predicting Danny in the top 3, I'd be like, nah, but I think they've got TikTok momentum. I think they've got love for Witney and like love for like the hot guy and like maybe they're going to catch all of
the chat too. So
who's in the chat?
Yeah, no, I'm saying Danny has shooters in the chat.
Oh, yeah. And I think like they're going to catch like the remaining athlete, non-Olympian vote. And I think like maybe Steven and Riley might be slowly plateau. Like they're the ones that could upset Danny's apple cart to me. I think Ilona's stock is dropping, unfortunately.
Yeah, let's see. I'm interested. I think any way we go, Matt, we can find a path for almost all of them, which is exciting.
Yeah. Next week, they're going to be doing 2 dances for each couple. So it is what I was hoping for, I guess, this week of just 2 rehearsed dances that they have the whole week to do and present to us and show what they can do with 1 ballroom style, 1 Latin style. So that's kind of what, I don't know if there's like even a theme name to it. It's just the semifinals, I guess, which is fine. It doesn't always have to be a theme of the week,
Yeah, we
especially
don't
when they
want
flopped
theme.
this one with the 500th episode. Like, come on. Like a lot of them were posting online about how crazy this was to be a part of it. Also, that was also wild. Some of the videos that they were posting and even interviewing the celebrities to be like, what does it mean to you to be a part of the 500th episode? And like, there was a whole video on Instagram of like every celebrity talking about what it meant to them, which is like, you have like Joey compared to Jenna. Jenna's like, I've been doing the show for a decade at this point. Like it means so much to me to be here on such a monumental episode. And Joey's like, yeah, pretty cool to be a part of this, huh? Like, pretty crazy stuff. Like, yeah, it means a lot. I've been watching the show forever. All of them, these big
Oh
Dancing with
my
the Stars
God.
super fans. Liars.
Just
So-
unserious. I love it.
That is that. So I don't know. Anybody have any final comments? Actually, no, I have one more thing before that. Sarah was saying in the Facebook group, I just want to mention how stunning Jenn looked on the Wicked red carpet last week. So did we all see that a couple days ago, half the cast went to go see Wicked and half the cast went to a LA Kings game? I don't know what the split was. I don't know who, did they get drafted into teams to decide who went where?
Team Emma versus Team Sasha.
Yeah.
Imagine.
But the group that was at the Kings game seemed like they had a little bit more fun. The red carpet, you're just taking pictures. But Jenn and Sasha did look nice and coupled up
Oh,
there.
pish posh, guys. Get off the man. Leave Jenn alone.
Brooks and Gleb do not seem to. Well, they're I don't know what the hell they're doing. They're still posting about each other, but they don't seem like they're together. From
That
what
PR relationship is.
But Jenn and Sasha are clinging to each other's side like it's nobody's business.
Okay.
Friendship or more.
I looked up Sasha's age today and it like said like approximately 40. Like Google doesn't know his age.
Oh?
Quite a big age gap between them. I mean, so I'm so sick and tired of this part of the TikTok stuff. I'm even like Ezra's kind of like waiting on me, which I know that's like, Matt is going to keep following Ezra, but like his reaction to the election is like kind of irritating to me. But it was just like, oh, so you'd vote for a convicted felon for this, but not Dancing with the Stars. Just like,
be serious for one.
Yeah, like
There's
whatever.
people literally dying. But
Yeah, I was like, this isn't really like nobody cares anymore about your run on Dancing with the Stars, sir. But anyway, I really do think Sasha and Jenn are dating. And
that's crazy.
I think I
They're
agree.
spending so much intimate time together, like the dinner cooking.
But
like
he's
Yeah.
like
shirtless.
running away from her every time.
Yeah, I think there was one episode that you're talking about, Sasha, that was like pretty misleading as to what this might be. I don't know, but like Ali's talking about, they're just posting each other, having dinner together. Like Sasha's cooking for her. They're at Sasha's house hanging out. They've been inseparable, and
Come
it's been
to
2
my
weeks.
house, Jen. Let's be girlies. I'm also Sasha. You know
Jen-
what I mean? Like this. Is too much. Like, stop this.
I felt
I
bad.
mean,
'cause-
maybe because Sasha wasn't like gonna be asked to be a pro this season. Like maybe he and Jen both have incentives to like keep this going for PR purposes, and
yeah,
like he thinks
fine,
this
then
gets him back on the
maybe.
show. But I think it like kudos to them because it seems realistic. Unlike I almost said Bleb, Brooks and Gleb, who irritate the absolute hell out of me. I have always hated as a personal pet peeve when somebody says something. I'll just give a real example. In my sorority, someone once like apropos of nothing was like, oh, I was the first like baby made in like a test tube, like petri dish baby that like, was viable to survive. And I was just like, oh, wow. And she was like, you're an idiot. Like, of course that's not true. I gotcha. And I'm like, saying something that would be rude if I didn't believe you is not a
Right.
prank. And that's what I feel about Gleb and Brooks, who are like, idiots, this was for PR. And it's like, well, you were making 1,000 videos about hating each other. Sorry. Like, I don't like that they alienate the audience. And I do think Sasha and Jenn are starting to do that a little bit. Like in Jenn and Sasha's red carpet interview, I think it was at Wicked, Jenn was just like trolling and was like, are we together? Oh my God, people think we're together. That's so crazy. It's like, be a part of the freaking world. If you're together or not, I'm starting to lose complete interest and I'd rather you just go away. And that's
what I'm saying.
that.
It's too much. My girl just came off of a crazy breakup.
yeah.
It's like jumping from the hot water into the frying pan. Just enough. We don't need it. Just live your life, queen. That's all I ask.
Or like be
And
together.
they're eliminated. Why are we get out
Yeah.
of here, bro? Shoot.
She was having a tough time today. She was posting on Instagram being like, I'm really having a hard time reconciling with the fact that I'm not dancing tonight. I think she took her elimination pretty hard, not expecting to go home at the time that she did. And I think a lot of people would have expected her to go a little farther as well. But so I think she was having
I kind of thought she like wasn't that great.
Well, but better than Dwight.
Yeah.
Disagree.
I thought she also went out on her best week.
Dwight that you're disagreeing.
No, it's like a pair, right? Yeah, I agree. No, Dwight on his own, 100%. She can dance him under the table for sure.
Well, I think is that. If you missed the wicked red carpet and the LA Kings game, there's plenty of content. These
Do you like my wicked nails?
And the children. Oh yes.
Yes.
And check out the YouTube if you want to see
check out YouTube. Okay.
Am I green or pink? You don't know. You gotta check it out on YouTube.
Also, Nicole said that they also went to the children's hospital, Ilona, Jenn, and a bunch of pros. So that's cool too.
Yeah.
We love that. Also, I have a review to read.
Ooh.
A 5-star. Because then I said we have a special Apple thing that we only read 5-star.
Ali had the Apple, as I was thinking.
Yeah. So this from Amy DW and said 5 stars, obviously. Dancing with the Stars fun podcast. The addition of Dancing with the Stars recap have been fun. I found you week 2 when you had Izzy on. Honestly, queen. Izzy sends me the funniest DMs about Dancing with the Stars. It's gotten me to watch the show live, to join in on the live recap. Your Disney recap was especially fun. Great vibes. Listen, help us out. Give us 5-star reviews so the Daddy Network will renew. Okay.
I'm glad I didn't just hold Simba in my arms for the entire episode for nothing. I'm glad it hopefully landed for one person.
I know, all our little stuffies in the back.
Yeah, I had to tear the house apart to bring everything up here and go back. All right, I think that's it for now. Again, semifinals are coming up next week.
And I won't be there next week, but
you won't be
someone
there.
Else.
Yeah, Sasha's got a busy week ahead, but I will be here with at least one great guest, if not 2. So that will be fun and exciting. Ali, thank you so much for staying up late with us here. And it's the day before challenge night, so at least we weren't taking you away from challenge night itself, but happy to have you, of course.
What a dream. This was so fun. Loved being here. Had a blast.
You're amazing.
That's it.
Well, that's not it. Where can people at least find the podcast?
You can't find me.
Where can they find the podcast? You're not on your podcast
anywhere.
at the moment, so you can plug that.
Matt made me go on like Blue Streak or whatever it is.
Blue
Streak. I can't remove people as followers and I don't like it. So we'll see. Don't try to find me. But do check out the Challenge or Hap Up on Rob as a Podcast. You can get it where you get this fine podcast in the We Know Reality TV page, thread, whatever. You could also visit us at Challenge Feed, robaswebsite.com/challenge feed. Brian normally plugs this, so I don't know what I'm doing.
They're also on YouTube.
We're also on YouTube. Right if you like this visual, you'll love the same exact image talking about the challenge on YouTube. And you can check out New Girl Old Guy, which once again, for the second week in a row, Kiva tells me will happen this week. And if not this week, next. Believe it when I see it. But you can check that out by Googling New Girl Old Guy podcast. Like, who cares? If you don't know where to find it, you don't want to find it by now. We're 6.5 seasons.
Don't tease me with NGOG and then not deliver. So, and that's to Akiva, who's definitely listening at this moment. So, Ali, thank you so much for joining us. Sasha, what's going on for you between now and when we'll see you next?
I was killing me. Yes. So, of course, as always, Kirsten McKennis and I are talking pop culture. If you want to know why something's trending, you need to be checking out Mess Magnets on messmagnets.com. And listen, we talked about Martha. And honestly, it was just me kind of simping for Martha the whole time. Oops.
I saw it was like Messfa Stewart.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, check that out. And of course, TV for Real, where we're talking to your favorite reality TV stars about their favorite scripted shows, where Jason Reed joined Franny and I to talk Agatha all along. So it was really fun. I assembled my coven and we had such a great time with Mike away. So check that out on the We Know Scripted TV YouTube or feed. Yeah, I think, and I'll be on the 90 Day Fiance pod.
Ooh.
And I was talking the challenge, was that last week? With
Like a week ago.
with Matt and Scally. I know time is so hard.
Yes.
But either way, check all of that out. What about you, Matt?
Yes, that aforementioned podcast, the Free Agents podcast, if you want to hear Brian Scally and I talking about the challenge, in addition to Brian and Ali's coverage, this season is so good. You need the coverage from all angles.
Honestly, yes.
It is winding down, but it has been so much fun. And then over on the Diary Room podcast with myself and Amon Adwin, where we're trying to find the best Big Brother player of all time. It's going to take us a while to get there, but we're going through matching people up 6 players at a time. We had Mari on this past week. We have got some great guests lined up as well. So if you want to check that out, do so there. As Sasha mentioned, leave us some 5-star ratings and reviews to let us know you're enjoying the podcast.
5 stars only.
5 stars only.
Don't
Like
play.
this video, write a comment, even if you were here in the chat. Well, first of all, much appreciated for everybody who was here with us in the chat tonight.
200.
200 people hanging out, talking, dancing with the stars late night. Very, very appreciated. But make sure you are subscribed to RHAP. Make sure that if you are interested, you become a patron so you can get into the patron group and discuss the episode with us. Leave some questions, leave some feedback in the day leading up to the episode airing. And I think that's about it. So 2 more episodes to go here. We'll be back, or I'll be back next week with, again, 1 or 2 exciting guests to join us. And then we'll close out the season in 2 weeks. Ali, thank you again for being here. Sasha, anything else?
No, listen, we're killing it. Thank you, Ali. Thank you, chat. Listen, Mirror Ballers, y'all are amazing. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you soon. Bye.